is Ashley from AVING, and we are here with Nissan. This is CES 2025, one of the biggest conventions in the world. We've been here for 20 years, and we're just going around companies, making sure which are the most innovative products. And we have a person that won the Innovation Award. Well, not a person, but a company. So let's meet one of these companies now. And Nissan, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. So my name is Nissan Avivi. I'm the head of business development for Lidwave. Mm-hmm. We're a small startup company in Israel, only less than 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
But we're developing the next generation of lidars. Lidars, if you may know it, it's a very advanced sensor that gives a very detailed, very high resolution 3D image of the surrounding of whatever you're putting it on, a vehicle, a robot, smart infrastructure, and so on. And it has a lot of use cases, but there's still some limitations because it's kind of a new technology, and the companies, the world of tech is still struggling to find the right...
Yeah, I get it. Uncharted waters, right?
Exactly. So it's cutting edge and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your very gigantic award. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's great. And it's a great honor, but it's also very good to have that recognition that what you're doing is actually as good as you think and as cutting edge as you believe it to be. And I think CES just sees it the same way that we do, that our sensor can really widen the boundaries of computer vision, of machine vision.
Right, and it's in the category as imaging, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
yeah.
Okay.
It's a sensor, it's imaging, it's all about making machines understand what's around them in a better way.
So tell me about this box. What does it do?
Okay, so as I mentioned, LiDAR is a very accurate 3D sensor. It works a bit like a radar, but instead of radio frequency waves, it uses light. So because light can be focused to a very small point, you can have a very detailed image.
Right.
So really, like if you see an image of a radar, it's sometimes hard to say what exactly you see, but with LiDAR, it's almost like a camera. It's very easy to understand what you're seeing. But the thing is that today's LiDAR, it's called time-of-flight LiDAR or 3D LiDARs, they have challenges in scaling up, mainly scaling up, because they're built of a lot of small elements like the lasers and the lenses and the receivers and so on, that everything has to be assembled together in a very, very accurate way, like micron level accuracy to make everything work. And that's quite a challenge. And we understood that the real way to break that barrier, to make things really scalable, is to put everything on silicon. You know, the same way that the first computers used vacuum tubes, and they were huge and expensive and very hard to build and not that reliable. But once they put everything on a silicon in one CPU, suddenly everyone had the computer in their home, right? So that's how you break the scaling barrier. And that's exactly what we did. We put everything. I hope the camera can see this.
That's tiny. Oh my goodness. Y'all, look at this.
A tiny silicon photonics chip, only 10 by 10 millimeters.
Oh, wow.
And it has all the optical elements of the LiDAR. 40 channels, lasers, amplifiers, everything is built into this thing. So now manufacturing this is almost as simple as building a camera. You put the sensor, you have the electronics behind it, of course, a lens in the front, and you have a LiDAR.
Wow, okay.
And it sounds simple when I say it this way, right? Just pack everything into silicon photonics.
I'm not an engineer, so you tell me.
But actually, it's quite a challenge. The thing is, with time-of-flight LiDARs, they use very strong lasers to achieve the range you need, because having 10 meters range is not enough for most use cases. So they need to use very strong lasers. And very strong lasers cannot be built into silicon photonics. They'll just burn the silicon photonics paths. So we needed to invent a new technology. And the answer was in coherent lidars. Coherent light, it's a totally different way of operation. You can think about it the same as, let's say, airplanes. You have propeller airplanes and you have jet airplanes, right? They both fly and they both quite fast, but it's totally different technology with different
power.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's what we did, and we invented our own technology. You can even call it a physical principle called FCR.
Okay.
And that allowed us to have a much more sensitive sensor. We're 10 million times more sensitive than regular time-of-flight LiDAR. And that allowed us to use very low-power lasers and still have the same range and actually even longer. This unit that will launch later this year at the end of Q2, it will have a range of up to 600 meters.
Oh, wow.
And still being eye safe, of course, and so on. This is something that you cannot achieve with time-of-flight LiDARs, not with eye-safe Class 1
I don't want to get my eyes zapped with a
laser. Exactly. Especially if you have, one or two on each car around you, so you'll have a lot of them. You can't play with that. And this system is still way below the eye safety limits, even though it has 600 meters range. But aside from that, it's like, up until now, it sounds great, right? We got everything on a single chip, scalable, we have better range, great, but it doesn't end there. Coherent sensing also offers another very unique advantage, and that is that it can also see velocity. Because it's using continuous wave, then you can see the Doppler effect, the same way it works in radars, for instance. And that means that if I see something, if I look at an object, for every pixel, I know exactly where it is, like X, Y, and Z, but also its velocity. So if someone is walking, we can actually see the body is moving at one speed, one leg, the one on the ground, is stationary, and then the other leg is faster than the body. So you get a very accurate understanding of what's happening around you. You don't need to follow an object for several frames to understand, okay, this is a body moving from here to there in that and that velocity. No, you have that every frame for every pixel. If someone is spinning around, let's say a ballet dancer, in a time-of-flight LiDAR, you won't see it moving because the dancer is staying in the same place, just pivoting. With our system, you'll see that he's pivoting because one arm will be moving that way and the other one will be moving that way. And we have that in a very high resolution, like 0.1 kilometers per hour, and we can see it. So the minute it moves,
super accurate, super minuscule. Like which object's moving where, all that.
Exactly. So, for instance, if we're thinking about safety in logistics area, and you have the forklifts, So you need to know not only how fast they move forward or backwards, you need to know if they're turning around. Because they always do this, and then they can hit things if they're not careful. So you have that capability. And as another bonus, it's totally immune to any kind of interference. So you can have several sensors in the same area without any crosstalk between them, without them interfering with another. And even more important, you can have very strong sunlight in your frame, like the sun itself or a glare of a wet road or something like that, without it affecting the range or the resolution in any way.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's impressive because I know how hard it can be with some sensors, they have conflicting ranges and weather conditions. You never know what's gonna bring. I mean, with the changes in global atmosphere, hails, storms, rains, everything. So
exactly. And if you really want machine vision to take its place on in every industry, you need something dependable, something that works all day, every day, not only between 10 to 4 because the sun is too low otherwise, and if it's rainy or foggy, then it doesn't work. You need something that works in every condition, or at least as many conditions as possible. And that's what we offer.
Okay, so it's bridging the gap that the sensors didn't have before.
Exactly. It's the all-weather velocity capability of a radar with the high resolution of a LiDAR.
Okay. Well, what are your company's goals coming here in CES? Are you looking for investors or?
We're not in a round at the moment, but of course it's always good to meet investors, let them know what we do. We have a demo so they can get a real first-hand feeling of what we're doing and how well it works.
Right.
So that's always important for a startup. But the main thing is meeting potential partners and customers, not just from the automotive industry. In the past, when you said LiDAR, everyone were talking cars, right? Autonomous cars, safety system, and so on. But actually, as we go along, we find more and more use cases that our LiDAR fits and can be used for in the industry, in safety, as I mentioned, in smart cities, things like that, smart infrastructure. A lot of use cases opens up a lot of interesting things. We even found a client that came to us and has a use case in the health industry.
Oh, wow.
So it's always amazing to see more and more use cases once you have a good sensor. And one of the good things about this sensor that it's very software defined. You know, that's a very buzzword today, but that's actually that's actually the situation here. With the same hardware, we can have a very short range, high resolution sensor or a very long range sensor without changing the hardware. We don't have to change the scanning mechanism. We stay with the same chip, the same electronic units, and we can cover a lot of use cases with the same sensor without the need to develop a new sensor, a very costly procedure for every use case. So we can fit even customers with very small demands, like 50 units a year or something like that.
This is more like generic that kind of covers all types.
Yeah, it's very, very flexible.
Cool. Well, do you have any plans to expand into the Korean market? I know we have a lot of technology coming up all the time in Korea. We have innovation. It's like, Samsung's always coming out with something fancy. So do you have any plans to see if any Korean investors are interested, buyers?
Definitely. Korea is one of the tech powerhouses of the world, and it's definitely on our sites. I was actually there last year for a visit. In Seoul, of course. But we traveled around. It was something that was organized by our government with the Korean government. Very well put together, I have to say. And we met a lot of potential customers in Korea. Very interesting. So definitely Korea is on our map.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great to hear. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Nitsan.
Thank you very much, Ashley, for having me.
Before we go, this is our 20th anniversary. So if you could state your company name, your name, and your position, and then deliver a quick congrats to us, that'd be fantastic.
Sure, it would be my pleasure.
On that camera.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Nitsan Avivi. I'm the head of business development at Lidwave, and I just wanted to congratulate AVING for 20 years of covering CES. What an achievement.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.